It's that time again. Time for another Derium's Nifty Interactions. Yeehaw, here we go. This time, we're using a viewer-suggested Nifty Interaction with some of the new cards that just came out and plus one old card. Here are the three new artifacts that just came out that kind of go together, if you will. We've got a Decoction Module, a Fabrication Module, and an Animation Module. Decoction Module is a 2-mana artifact. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you get an energy counter. Tap 4, tap it, return target creature you control to its owner's hand. Fabrication Module is a 3-mana artifact. Whenever you get one or more energy counters, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. And finally, whenever one or more 1/1 counters are placed on a permanent you control, you may pay a mana. If you do, create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. You may tap 3, choose a counter on target permanent or player. That permanent or player gets another of that kind. The activated abilities are not important on these cards, it's the triggered abilities that matter. So, if you start with the Decoction Module and you have a creature enter the battlefield, you'll get an energy counter. When you receive the energy counter, the Fabrication Module will trigger. That'll put a 1/1 counter on the creature that just came into play, or another creature. Whenever you get that 1/1 counter, you're gonna have an option to pay a mana because Animation Module will trigger. If you pay a mana, you'll get another 1/1 creature, and that'll start the process all over again. The choke here is you need to have mana. You need to be able to pay for the Animation Module, so we gotta find a way to do that. How are we gonna do that? We'd like to iterate the process if possible and do this infinitely. So we move on to our good old friend, Cryptolith Rite. Ooh. Since this loop is creating creatures, Cryptolith Rite will let us tap that creature to add mana. The problem is the creature's gonna have summoning sickness. Oh, how do we give it haste? Well, in Standard, there are currently 2 ways to give all the creatures that would enter the battlefield haste. One of which is an Arlen Cord emblem. That's not really gonna work out very well. And the other is our friend here, Spontaneous Artist. Spontaneous Artist, 4-mana, 3/3 human rogue. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you get an energy counter. And then it has an activated ability. Pay 1 energy counter. Target creature gains haste until end of turn. Luckily for us, this iterative loop is producing infinite energy. So what's gonna happen is every time a creature enters the battlefield, we're gonna get an energy. We're gonna use that energy with Spontaneous Artist's ability to give that creature haste. We're gonna put a 1/1 counter on that creature. Animation Module is gonna trigger, asking us to pay mana to create another token. We will use Cryptolith Rite to tap it, add a mana, pay for Animation Module's cost, create another 1/1, and start the process all over again. Sure, it's a 5-card combo, but it gets us infinite 1/1s, which can technically be 2/2s, or we can make one guy really, really big. So there's a few things we could do with this. We could make one of the creatures really, really big and, attack them for a bunch. All the little 1/1s will be tapped, so they won't really be able to attack, but you can start piling the counters on your Spontaneous Artist and attack them with a hasty giant creature. If you had a couple creatures left over, you would be able to maybe make 2 of them infinitely big and attack with 2 creatures. Alternatively, there's a few ways in the format to make it so they can't block, like Key to the City, which was featured in one of our other Nifty Interaction videos. So while it's not a concise, easy combo, it requires you to find 5 cards out of your deck. That's not a small amount, but it's really cool that you can make an infinite loop with these new artifacts that just came out. I think they were kind of meant for that. I'm not quite sure the deck you would build around to get this whole thing to work fluidly. It's obviously going to be green and red because you have Cryptolith Rite and Spontaneous Artist. Maybe you want to add blue so you can find the cards a little bit easier. You could use Glint-Nest Crane to try and find some of these artifact pieces. The card Contingency Plan helps you find cards, so that's another blue card you could use. So Tamir might be the way to go in building this deck. You could use red for the Spontaneous Artist and maybe some removal spells so you don't get run over. And you can use green for maybe Traverse the Uvenwald will help you find your Spontaneous Artist. So there's a lot of ways you could build a deck around these cards and hopefully make it work. And thanks again for suggesting this Nifty Interaction. Tyler, I believe your name was. Keep the suggestions coming. We'll keep making the videos. Hopefully you enjoyed this Nifty Interaction and stay tuned for one later in the week.